Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com.
The squareness of the tefillin. What parts of the tefillin must retain a square shape? And what is the halacha if its squareness has become damaged? So although assumingly when we purchase a pair of Batim, the leather casing which houses the parshias, the parchment of inscribed letters, we assume that it was received and purchased in a kosher state, with its proper square dimensions being met. With time, it's possible for areas of the squareness to become bent or chipped off, and the question is asked, what is the halacha in such a case, and to what areas does law of squareness apply? So let us begin first with the background of the need for the batim of the tefillin to be a square. States in the Gemara in Menachos 35a, recorded in the Rishonim, such as the Rambam Rif and brought in the Shulchanaruch chapter 32, halacha 39 in the Mechaber and halacha 59 in the Alter Rebbe, that it is a halacha miMoshe miSinai that the tefillin must be a square shape, which means that if tefillin are not square, they're puzzle, they're invalid. This is an invalidating requirement that tefillin batim must contain. And this applies to both the tefillin shel rosh and the tefillin shel yad. Although the question is asked and discussed in the poskim as to which parts of the bayis are required to be square. And while in the Rishonim we find debate regarding if the ktsitza, which is the actual square that sits on the bottom foundation part, which is called the titura, it is debated amongst the Rishonim if it must be square, or if maybe only the titura has to be square. Nonetheless, halacha l'maisa, we rule that all the parts of the tefillin must be square. And this includes the following three areas. The titura, which is the bottom part of the tefillin that the square rests on, that also must be a square shape. And if not, the tefillin are puzzle. The sewing that is on top and on bottom, which sews the titura together, must be a square shape, meaning the sewing must be sewed in a square shape. Otherwise, the tefillin are invalid. And in fact, this requirement is mostly agreed by almost all Rishonim. And even the bayis, which we said is under debate, practically rule that it must be square. And the Alter Rebbe writes in the Shulchanaruch, and so rule other poskim, that it has to be square for its entire length from top to bottom, meaning not just the top of it. So if it has the shape of a pyramid, only becoming a square on top or on bottom, it's puzzle. While there are other poskim who hold differently, practically this is how we rule, that it is to maintain a square shape throughout its entire length. However, we do not hold that the height of the tefillin must be equal to the length and width of the squareness of the tefillin. The tefillin, for example, can be 4 by 4 centimeters or 2 by 2 centimeters with a height of 4 or 5 or 6 centimeters or 3 centimeters. With that introduction, let us now discuss what is the halacha if b'diavad something happened, some damage happened to your tefillin and the squareness got lost. So the halacha is, as recorded in the Shulchanaruch, the Mechaber, the Alter Rebbe, and all the Rishonim and poskim, it's not enough that it was made into a square, it must maintain its square shape throughout its entire lifespan of it being used. So if damage has occurred that has ruined its squareness, it becomes puzzle. Meaning, if any of the above three areas that we mentioned, whether the titura, or whether the bayis, or whether the sewing loses its squareness, the bayis becomes puzzle. Now, what is the definition of squareness, in which we rule that if it loses its squareness, it's invalid? So actually, it does not refer to squareness of a 100% measurement according to a ruler. In fact, in previous times, most batim were made with a little bit of their measurements of squareness being off, such as being 3 centimeters in width with 2.9 centimeters in length. As in truth, so long as it retains its square shape to the naked eye, it remains kosher. So long as the bayis looks square, even if under careful measurement it's not an exact square, it's valid. There are various different types of damages that can occur to the tefillin which can bring its squareness into question. Nonetheless, we will focus on one of them that is quite common, that many people don't even realize is a problem. And that is the squareness of the sewing on the bottom of your tefillin. As we already mentioned, that sewing must retain a square shape, at least to the naked eye. Now, it's possible that with the passing of time, the squareness of the shape of the tefirus, of the sewing, becomes damaged, crooked, and puzzle. How is this possible? Through water. Although we don't soak our tefillin in water, we put on our shalreish often on a wet surface, such as wet hair, whether due to a shower or due to sweat. After wearing tefillin, shalreish, and wet hair, day after day, week after week, month after month, the liquid penetrates the leather and begins to expand it, which ruins the squareness of the sewing and makes the tefillin invalid. Due to this, it is extremely important to avoid this, prevent this from happening by making sure that when you put on your shalreish tefillin, your hair is dry. And number 2, to periodically check the bottom of your tefillin to make sure that the squareness has not been ruined. If your naked eye sees any change of measurement of the squareness, then it is immediately to be brought to a Rav who is expert in Stam in order for him to rule on regarding his Kashrus status, and to have it brought to a cipher to see if it's fixable. But in general, the ruining of the sewing area of Batim are not fixable, and thereby a person would have to purchase a new pair of Batim, at least for a shalreish. This matter is a mitzvah to publicize, as many are unaware of it, and also many boitkim, magim, don't even check the bottom, don't check this area when tefillin are sent to them for bedika. And it's possible for a person to be wearing pasul tefillin, shalreish, even after receiving the good news from the cipher that his tefillin are kosher, if the cipher didn't bother looking in this area to check the squareness. This is something that every individual can do on their own by looking at it, and as we said, should be done periodically.
Thank you for listening to Shulchanaruchharav.com. Our free services of making Torah knowledge available to the public depends on donors like you. Please help us continue our work through making even a small contribution at Shulchanaruchharav.com under the Daily Halacha Dedication section or in the subscription page. Also, check out our online courses and many sefarim available for purchase that will both enhance your Torah knowledge and help support our work.